Beneath the deep, ink-black sky of midnight, the slow, resonant chime of the old clock tower bell cut sharply through the heavy stillness, as if the entire town had fallen silent, holding its breath in anticipation of something momentous. Through the gloom, a shadowy figure moved cautiously up the wide stone steps of the grand, centuries-old mansion, each footfall echoing dry and hollow against the quiet air. High above, upon a windswept balcony that overlooked the dark, sprawling gardens, a girl with striking neon-pink hair stood motionless, her gaze fixed into the enveloping darkness, her mind tangled in a storm of unspoken thoughts and carefully guarded secrets. When a soft, almost breathless voice spoke her name, Vivian, it was enough to break through her distant reverie. She spun around in surprise, startled to see someone she knew appearing unexpectedly from the shadows, her expression quickly brightening into a warm, welcoming smile. She greeted him with the ease and familiarity of an old, trusted companion, her manner open and friendly. Confusion settled over his features. To find her here at this late hour struck him as unusual, and he could not help but wonder what had driven her out into the cool night air, or if some misfortune had befallen her. After a brief moment of hesitation, Vivian spoke, her words rushing out as if they were the only thing weighing heavily on her mind. She asked if he had heard of the grand royal banquet being held that very evening. When he nodded in quiet confirmation, she added, her tone turning sharp with bitterness, that it was the occasion on which the crown prince had formally proposed to her, and that was precisely why she felt so unsettled and trapped. She pleaded with him then, asking him to help her find someone dependable, someone she could truly rely on in the days ahead. The request caused him to pause, but her next words caught him entirely off guard. The person she sought must be a foreign noble. She explained her reasoning with urgent clarity. She needed to enter into a marriage, or at the very least a formal engagement, as soon as possible, to put an end to the crown prince's relentless and unwelcome advances. Yet the arrangement she envisioned was purely one of convenience, bound strictly by time, exactly 1 year, with no lasting obligations or ties to remain afterward. He stiffened at the idea, a note of tension entering his voice as he questioned whether she would truly agree to such a calculated bargain with a stranger. Then, a distant memory seemed to surface in his mind, and he reminded her that she had once promised to remain by his side forever. Vivian stared at him, utterly bewildered, with no recollection of ever making such a vow. Before she could collect her thoughts, he reached out and took her hand, the sudden, unexpected movement leaving her breathless and unsteady. Drawing her closer, he insisted that she had once told him she wished to marry him. Vivian pulled back slightly, her mind racing as she searched through her memories, turning over every conversation and moment, as if flipping through the pages of a book, but finding nothing, only a blank, unsettling emptiness. When she saw the faint glint of hurt in his eyes, she felt a sharp pang of guilt, as though she had unwittingly become the cause of someone's deep pain. Flustered and confused, she stated plainly that she had never spoken such words, nor made any promise of the kind. Even as she said it, she could not shake the feeling that there was something strange and unrecognizable about his behavior. Yet when she looked at him closely, his features seemed to shift and blur, briefly taking on the face of another, the very person she had once sworn to spend her life with. A memory from childhood flickered vividly in her mind. 2 young children, standing together beneath a large gnarled oak tree, making a solemn vow that no matter how far life might carry them apart, they would always find their way back to one another. It was a promise carved deep into the innocence of youth. Slowly, the truth began to dawn on her. Impossible as it seemed, the person before her was in fact Rachel. He held her hand more firmly, lacing their fingers together, and spoke quietly, "If they marry, they will always hold hands just like this." The words were simple, yet carried a heavy, solemn weight. Overwhelmed and disoriented, Vivian found herself asking an awkward, trembling question, whether he could share such a gesture with anyone else, while a rising sense of panic coiled tightly in her chest. She felt as though she had been deceived. The closest friend she had known had been living as a man all along, and the realization left her feeling betrayed and deeply unsettled. Suddenly, the scene shifted back 10 years into the past, to a time when Vivian had lain near death in a small, drafty cottage, her body burning with a violent fever that even the village healers and Dr. Brian could barely manage to treat. It was then that her understanding of reality shifted entirely. She realized that she had been reborn into the world of a novel she had once read in her previous life. In that original story, she had been written as the unassuming, impoverished heroine, a gentle character readers might root for but would ultimately forget, while the male lead was the powerful, charismatic, and dangerously charming Crown Prince Aelin. It seemed like the beginning of a classic fairy tale romance, but the tale had ended in heartbreak and tragedy. The heroine had slowly wasted away and died, leaving Aelin to carry the weight of endless regret and unanswered questions, while figures like Margaret and Sally had worked behind the scenes to fan the flames of conflict. A cold dread settled deep in Vivian's bones as she recognized that she now carried the very same affliction described in the book, a rare and deadly condition called manhwa, caused by a dangerous buildup of magical energy lodged within her heart, acting like a ticking time bomb. Without proper intervention, this mass of unstable mana would eventually rupture, leading to a slow and agonizing death. Yet amid this overwhelming despair, there remained one faint glimmer of hope. There was still a chance to alter her fate and avoid the tragic ending that had been written for her. Only one person in the entire realm was said to possess the immense power needed to cure such a condition, and that person was Rachel Edelvine, the infamous and feared villainess of the original story. But Rachel was no mere jealous rival. She was a figure of immense influence and ruthless ambition, raised under the protection of the Duke, with her gaze fixed firmly upon the throne. While Vivian struggled beneath the heavy strain of her unstable mana, Rachel possessed the rare and extraordinary ability to draw in and absorb magical energy from the very air around her, as easily as one might breathe. Vivian recalled that in the original story, she had once refused Rachel's offer of help, choosing instead to protect the Crown Prince, a decision that now seemed terribly naive and foolish, especially knowing how others like Margaret and Sally would have exploited any connection between them. In this new reality, however, the fates of fictional characters or the prince's possible sorrow no longer mattered at all. Her only priority was survival, not just for herself, but also to ease the worry of her father, Diaz. With a clear, determined resolve, she made her choice. She would attach herself to Rachel, not only to gain the strength and protection to live longer, but also to ensure that Rachel never descended fully into the cruelty and darkness that had defined her as a villainess in the book. With her mind set firmly on rewriting her destiny and avoiding unnecessary drama or an early grave, Vivian set out toward the Edelvine estate, a sprawling, magnificent residence marked by towering iron gates, polished marble pathways, and a constant, orderly bustle of servants moving quietly about their duties. She lingered near the entrance for a short while, observing the flow of activity, knowing full well that as a girl of no title or wealth, she could not simply walk in unannounced. Instead, she devised a careful, thoughtful plan. She would blend in naturally, gain the trust of the household staff, and slowly make her way closer to Rachel without arousing any suspicion. Her strategy was straightforward yet effective. First, she would befriend the servants, as information was the most valuable resource she could possess. She would learn their daily routines, listen carefully to their casual conversations, and discover everything she could about Rachel's habits, preferences, and daily schedule, waiting patiently for the right moment to approach. Stepping forward with a bright smile and a confident, friendly demeanor, she approached a small group of servants, taking a brief break near the gate. At first they regarded her with polite caution, but Vivian was prepared for this. She struck up light, easy conversation, introducing herself as the 9-year-old daughter of Diaz, who ran the village bakery, a simple detail that made her seem ordinary, harmless, and easy to trust. She spoke with genuine curiosity about the grand mansion, offering freely to share what she knew of the nearby village and its markets. Leaning in with a playful, secretive whisper, she mentioned a simple rosewater lotion sold locally that left skin feeling soft and smooth for hours. A small, practical detail that immediately caught the interest of one of the younger maids. Vivian went on to share more useful local knowledge, including the best places to find fine wine and rich, aged cheese, and when a guard joked that a child could know little of such things, she laughed openly and told a light-hearted story about her uncle, who swore daily to stop drinking only to reach for his cup again the very next evening. Her playful imitation was amusing, and soon the initial tension eased, with everyone joining in warm laughter. When another servant asked where to find good quality cheese at a fair price, Vivian replied with confidence, promising to show them the best spot in the village the following day before taking her leave. Though she had not yet caught sight of Rachel herself, Vivian considered the day a promising success. She had made her presence known and gained the friendly attention of the staff. As she turned to walk home through the quiet lanes, she glanced upward toward the tall windows of the main house and caught sight of a small, still figure standing at one of the highest balconies. Her heart skipped a beat. It was Rachel. Even from a distance, Rachel's appearance was striking and otherworldly, as if she had stepped directly from a fine portrait, her beauty cold yet undeniably compelling.